The year is 1917, a time of turmoil and unrest in Russia. As the country is in the flames of revolution, the Russian people are holding on by a thread, but then came a turning point, a point that would change the course of Russia forever, as well as the world as we know it. Here, in this alternate reality, the provisional government refuses to give in to the rising of the Bolsheviks, a communist party, after the Tsar, Nicholas II, leaves his throne. They keep waging war, whereas our government is fighting for all our people. This will be a time of democracy and progressivism. Russia will be the mascot of the 20th century. Under the direction of the provisional government, sweeping reforms are made to modernize Russia's political, economic, and social structures. The archaic feudal system is done away with, creating a more equal distribution of land for peasants and workers. Civil liberties are now protected in law, giving all citizens freedom of speech, press, and assembly. With Russia just unhooking itself from the autocratic leadership of the Tsar, there was a lot of newness in the government, and everybody was still trying to get used to the new democracy. The path to democracy was very difficult for Russia because of its industrial economy, with society being disturbed by all the radical factions, left and right, working class, peasants, and the ethnic minorities. Basically everyone that wasn't involved in government pretty much was trying to keep one government in and another out. At the same time, different foreign countries also spread propaganda to the public to get involved militarily or to not. With regards to the current social environment within the country, we may currently find radical members who fight on numerous issues, while we also have moderate representatives unified under a movement that defends the principles of compromise, evolution, and rectification. However, although they argue using diverse epistemological routes, all Congress members finally agree on the concepts of democracy. Thus, they will progressively resolve conflicts and problems in order to respect the perquisites of country's stability. Meanwhile, in the ripple outcomes in Russia's experiment, that were far and wide in the world. Over in Europe, the Reds are stopped this time from spreading their tentacles of revolution throughout the continent. This keeps the chaos and bloodshed that would engulf the continent in the two Swedish world wars from happening. Woodrow Wilson's plan, a duo to other countries' elite one of creating a new world order, leads other world powers to believe that they should overthrow, kill, or try to dislodge as many of the ruling elite in other nations as possible. This also gives hope to other nations hurt in world war to gain a democracy, thus that so-called newly formed democracy may join in, creating an ultimate peace through selfless of preservation, meaning that the now formed nations take into account the preservation of other new nations, and by doing this, they can help make world a better place. Nonetheless, Russia's route toward democracy is laden with obstacles. Economic distress, social turmoil, and military encroachment all pose a danger to the progress the country has made. Forces that oppose Russia's evolution are pushing the Russians back. Yet the spirit of democracy prevails. As the Russian people rally to defend their hard-won freedoms and liberties, in their persistence and resolve, they survive the storm and emerge unbowed, stronger, more determined than ever before. Decades later, Russia continues to be a great example of the power that democracy has. Russia sparks movements for justice and freedom all across the globe. In Asia, Eastern Europe, Africa, and even Latin America, countries are finally standing up for what they deserve and want to be. Looking back, historians see how important the provisional government of 1917 was. Even if only in very general terms, the Russian provisional government was a democracy. The authors also admit that had the provisional government been successful at its job, and had Russia stayed in World War I, then there wouldn't have been a revolution against the government. In a way, the author takes the provisional government and evaluates what it is to see why it fell so quickly.